The old school way of having a guy sit in AAA until he's 25, 26 years old, until he's fully ready, we're letting kids figure it out now.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. He's Brian McKeon. We've been hosting this show for 2 full regular seasons now. Isn't that amazing?
Crazy. We're already at second World Series and the first one out of the Yankees.
It's crazy. How long did you work at FAN?
I think I hosted for 1.5 years and I worked behind the scenes for 6.
Okay. So we'll say you've covered the Yankees for 9 years altogether.
Almost a decade. It sounds better.
Okay. So I was completely off when I said that we covered the team mixed together for 15, because honestly, I started blogging about them 15 years ago. So the two of us together have 25 years experience covering the Yankees.
Amazing stuff.
That's amazing.
And 1 World Series to show for it.
Exactly. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. On today's show, we're going to talk about if the Blue Jays, who won the ALCS, have a shot in hell against the LA Dodgers. We're going to talk about that in segment 3. Segment 2, we're going to talk about ALCS Game 7 because it was a doozy. I will just say this. Thank you, Dan Wilson, for Aaron booning that game. We appreciate it. We'll talk about that in segment 2. But first, Brian came up with a list of top prospects for the Yankees who can possibly make an impact at the major league level in 2026. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, these are just players that I wanted to discuss that I think have the best and most reasonable chance of impact in the Yankees 2026 roster. Keep this in mind. You see this across a lot of Major League Baseball now. We are entering a new era of not really letting your prospects, let's just call it, marinate in the farm system for as long as they used to. We are in much more of an era of call these kids up, let them perform at a young age so you can have them around for as long as possible. The old school way of having a guy sit in AAA until he's 25, 26 years old, until he's fully ready, we're letting kids figure it out now at the major league level. You see it with Trey Savage at the Blue Jays, who's going to pitch in a World Series now. It's all over the major league, just saying this. So I do think the Yankees are gonna probably start adopting that method. And I know we kind of sit here a lot and say, oh, well, other teams do things right and the Yankees seem to do things wrong. Other teams, with the way they handle their farm system, the Yankees seem to mimic a lot of what goes on there. And I think this will start to follow suit. I think the Yankees are going to start calling up younger guys at younger ages and stuff like that. So we'll see. A name that I notably left off this list before we get started, George Lombard Jr. I do not think George Lombard Jr. will be impacting the 2026 Yankees roster. I think, barring him hitting like 700 in spring training, he's not going to make the roster out of spring training. I think he'll start the year in AA. To make that jump, it would take both him playing outrageous in double and AAA and an injury or just extremely awful play from Anthony Volpe, Oswaldo Cabrera, Caballero. There's too many guys in front of him that are capable major leaguers and too much of a path for him to have to get there. I think his ETA is still 2027. So that's why I left him off the list before people complain. The first guy I put here, Stacey, and I'm going to have you comment after every single one of these guys. The first guy that I put in here is Cam Schlitler, who is still considered a prospect, only pitched half a season last year. I know he was great in the playoffs, but there's no doubt at all that Cam Schlitler is going to be on the 2026 Yankees roster. Pitched to a 4-3 record last year with a 2.96 ERA and 14 major league starts. He will enter the year as the 4th starter. Now, I know guys are going to be injured, coming back late, but regardless, if you take their depth chart by, let's say, July of what their starting pitching staff will be, he will be entering the year as their 4th starter, which is crazy to think about. He began 2025 in Somerset, had 10 games there, and then made 5 games at AAA and made the jump. It's an insane belief the Yankees have in him, an insane level of talent that he has in general, a lot of confidence that he has to pitch in big games and be able to just, quite frankly, shove in big spots. I'm very excited to see what he has. I'm still considering him a prospect just because of when he came up and stuff.
Right.
But he's one of these guys you got to be really excited about for the future of the Yankees.
Yeah, I am excited about him. The showing that he had against Boston was amazing. And even the showing he had against Toronto was still good. It didn't help that his team wasn't doing anything to support him in that game, but that's a high pressure situation for him. Those were 2 high pressure games, and he showed what he's capable of at like you said, he didn't have a lot of experience. He started in AA, and he was pitching in do or die games for the Yankees, and he proved to them that he could do that. It's amazing.
Crazy. I mean, if you told that kid starting in Somerset, New Jersey, that he'd be pitching in do or die games at the major league level by the end of the year, you would have never thought that. But
no,
what an unbelievable performance out of him to close off the year. He will be a big part of the Yankees' 2026 plans.
Yes.
Spencer Jones is the next one that I attack, and this is a difficult one because hasn't made the major leagues yet, and I think there are a lot of glaring numbers that the Yankees are going to want to look at before calling him up.
Right.
But having said that, we can't ignore the comments Brian Cashman made about him in the press conference last week, combined with the numbers that he put up in spring training. So Spencer Jones is currently the Yankees' number 4 prospect. He ranks number 99 in all of baseball, and I only included that because of the symmetry thing that you kind of like with numbers. Judge is 99. He's 99 in baseball. That seems like a Stacey Gotsulias alleyway right there.
He's also like a right-handed Judge because he's the same height, and they're
He ranked second among all minor leaguers last year with 35 homers, and 19 of those came in a 67-game stretch that he had in AAA. That's really impressive. Faced the top pitching in all the minor leagues and had 19 home runs in 67 games. Last July was the crazy month that he wound up having. 419 average with 11 home runs in the singular month, which is incredible. He got hurt after that, so who knows what his numbers would have looked like if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Finishes the year at 274, 362, 571. I do want to acknowledge that. The 362 on base.
Yeah.
For the amount of times he strikes out, he also does walk.
Yes.
So there is that aspect to his game. I think they do really like too. Here's the negative. And this is the negative we always bring up when it comes to him playing the major league level. He struck out 179 times in 438 at-bats. So if you're a full-time major leaguer, 438 bats is on the low end of a full-time player. Most guys are getting 550 to 600, which means in a major league level, he's on pace to strike out over 200 times, which you just can't have in a lineup nowadays.
Right.
So that, I think, is the one thing that keeps him off the major league roster, maybe.
I have a question. Did they use ABS?
In the minors?
Yeah. In 2025.
In single A, I think they did. I don't think they used it throughout the entire minor leagues.
In which level?
High A was the top level they used it at.
So they didn't use ABS in AAA.
Yeah. No.
All right.
The first year that they used it was 2 years ago in independent ball.
Right.
And then they moved it into high A, but they weren't using it in the upper levels of the minor leagues last year.
Do we know how he strikes out? Are they a lot of swinging? Are they looking? Are they, because Judge struck out a lot when he first came up, and then, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of times where balls were called out of the strike zone for Judge, and they still are. I mean, he's one of the guys that gets it, that happens. And, Spencer's the same size. So I'm just wondering how the strikeouts work out for him.
You know what I'm also interested in too is with them being the same size, there's probably a lot of advice that Judge could lend to Jones on dealing with the strike zone and manipulating the strike zone and being able to control the strike zone that Judge learned. And obviously with Judge being at the major league level and Jones being at the minor league level, there hasn't been a lot of time for him to learn off of Judge. There's spring training and stuff like that. But other than that, there really isn't a lot of time for Judge to give him the knowledge. I think that's actually a really good point.
Like, I was just wondering because...
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'll look that up actually and try and bring that tomorrow's show of where are his percentage of strikeouts. What is
what's
the
swinging,
percentage?
what's looking, if we can find that information. It made me think of Judge because of the similarities. Spencer Jones is lefty, Judge is righty, but they're similar in size, right? I think they're the same height. Isn't Spencer Jones also 6'7"? So I was just thinking that maybe that could be part of the reason why he strikes out so much, and that maybe he's not totally flailing, just only because the on-base percentage is so good.
He clearly has a decent eye. I'll say this. Our biggest gripe with him being called up is the strikeout percentage.
Yeah.
And I thought there wasn't a high possibility of him going to the major leagues this next year, but The Yankees made it known in this press conference that they view him as a future corner outfielder for the New York Yankees. That's pretty significant to mention that publicly when he's been playing center field most of his minor league career. But also, Cashman said Jones, quote, put himself into the conversation for the majors next year, and he's earned a look at the competition to be in the outfield for next year in spring training. Yeah. That's a pretty significant statement to make right there. Basically saying that it's an open competition and he's going to be available to make the roster next year.
Right. Although that doesn't give me a lot of confidence in the Yankees landing any of the free agent outfielders.
No, or how they feel about Jason Dominguez.
Right.
You can't love those comments if you're Jason Dominguez.
Well, no, he said Jason Dominguez. Didn't he say Jason Dominguez was going to be left field?
He did, yeah. But he's promising a lot more outfield positions than there are out there. There's only 3 spots. So
right.
I am a little concerned about that. Now, speaking of 6'7" guys, Carlos LeGrange, the pitcher, he's their current number 2 prospect and number 74 in all of baseball. Stacey, he's 6'7" and throws 102 mile an hour 2-seamer. By the way, 102 miles an hour wasn't his top velocity last year. That was the average on his 2-seam fastball last year. So, and that is
wild.
And it has a tremendous amount of movement on it. It tails away. It's a tremendous pitch that he has. He split last year, but between High A and Somerset, struck out 168 batters in 120 innings, which is outrageous for a starting pitcher. Went 11-8 with a 3.53 ERA in 23 starts last year. The comp that they give him is Dellin Betances, which is a really apparently between size and velocity wise. He likely will be starting next year in the minor leagues, but is considered in the Yankees, quote, near-term plans. Likely what they're comparing his trajectory to in the major leagues is kind of what Trey Yesavage did with the Blue Jays this year. Remember, Yesavage started in single A this year and shot his way through the minor league system. They loved his stuff, and he was able to make his way to the major leagues. They think this kid could have a similar path based on his stuff. So we'll see what winds up happening because he certainly has the play. And again, they showed it with Schlittler. They're not afraid to call guys up and let them start and pitch. Right. So we'll see what he can do. And the last guy on here that I think could be making noise in the Yankee bullpen next year, Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. Now, some of you may have heard of him. When everyone was mad that Carlos Narvaez was hitting cleanup for the Red Sox in that lineup, people were like, well, who'd they trade him for? They better have got someone good. They did. They got Elmer Rodriguez Cruz in that deal for the Carlos Narvaez trade. Remember this too? The Yankees were stacked at catcher. They had a surplus of catchers in their system.
They had like 6. They had like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah. So to get this guy out of the Red Sox was huge. He struck out the second most hitters in the minors, only behind Jonah Tong, who wound up making it to the major leagues last year for the Mets.
Right.
Finished the season all the way in AAA after starting in Single A. The MLB pipeline had his ETA listed as 2027, but he's already outproved many before, and some scouts are saying that it won't be shocking if he's used in a bullpen role as soon as June of 2026.
Wow.
So they're saying he can make that jump that quickly. He finally went over 100 innings pitched out of the bullpen this past season, which is insane. And the Yankees are planning on giving him a very strong look next year. So there's a good chance you see all 4. I mean, Schlittler, you'll 1,000% see in the major leagues next year. But I would say there's a really good chance these 2 pitchers are in the major leagues next year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who is coming up. And like you said, Lombard Jr., there would have to be so many bad things happening for the Yankees for him to be seen in 2026. And let me remind you again, for the 8 billionth time, he turned 20 in June.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, Stacey. He played in most of the league in Somerset. He didn't exactly tear the cover off the ball there. Now he had some good weak stretches where we covered and stuff, but he wasn't killing the ball.
He needs to marinate. You know how Volpe needed to marinate because he wasn't in AAA long enough? I think the Yankees will think about the Volpe mistake, especially if he has another bad season, and they will not do the same thing with George Lombard Jr. I think they will let him. Things, though,
if Volpe plays terrible next year, Lombard Jr. will have the spot in 2027.
Right.
100% chance.
But I think they'll make sure that in 2026 he goes the right way. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like he's not rushed up. All right. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. For the listeners of our show, the link to the Insiders Club is in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, Here you go. There's a QR code for you on the screen. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. You also get top priority on Fan Mail Friday, which we do every week. We also send you the lineups during the season, any roster moves that are made, and breaking news so you don't have to check social media. I will be doing that during the off season as well, if any signings happen. And there's a new added perk. We have a private Discord where you can commiserate during games, and you can find out breaking news there as well. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up, the ALCS is over. The Blue Jays won the AL pennant, and we're going to talk about Game 7 next.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Now, I love how FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. And whether you're a casual fan and you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. And also, this show is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between your 401k, savings, and investments, it's very easy to lose track. And that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal financial tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. It helped me organize my accounts, track my spending, and get a better handle on all of my investments without having to touch a spreadsheet. I love that I can review everything with my partner, see our shared goals, and make better financial decisions together. Monarch's visual dashboard and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKED on MLB at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKED on MLB for half off your first year.
Welcome back. Every week we do Fan Mail Friday, and this week and for the rest of the offseason, we're going to do something different. If you're on YouTube, you go to our channels page, you go to the post tab, and you will see where I left the post that says leave your Fan Mail Friday questions or comments, because we're opening up comments now. So it's not just going to be questions. Whatever you like to discuss, Yankees, baseball, personal stuff with us, as long as you're nice, we will mention them on Fan Mail Friday. So get those in by Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
I got to say this, as we Game 7 of the ALCS just ended. I would consider this a classic. It was a great game. Before we get to what this means for Toronto and then the way they won this game, can we just discuss for a second, if you're a Seattle Mariners fan, this is some cursed franchise kind of stuff coming out of Seattle right now. I mean, like, I'm not big on that kind of stuff, and I do sit there and give you the boo-hoo kind of response more often than not, but how do you not feel like your team is cursed after? I mean, they were in control of this entire game. They were leading. All of the confidence was on their side. But they had all the momentum going through this game, and then that home run. I mean, this feels like a cursed franchise.
Yeah, you know, the storyline was there. First World Series in their franchise's history. I mean, both franchises had long droughts, but obviously Seattle's was longest because they've never been to a World Series. At least Toronto has been there and has won back-to-back World Series.
Yeah.
But this was just, I mean, talk about letting the air out of your sails, you know.
Demoralizing.
So demoralizing. The thing is, people are going to talk about Wilson bringing Bizzardo in. That wasn't the problem. Not in Game 7. The problem was him bringing Bizzardo in Game 6 and having him pitch 2 innings.
Yep. And
that was the mistake.
And we talk about this all the time in the postseason, and it rings true every single year. And we can have all the problems we have with all the analytical decisions that are made in the postseason, but the relievers, you are playing a team 7 times in a 10-day stretch. I don't care who the reliever is, because this was the case with Mariano Rivera against the Diamondbacks in 01. The more you allow a team to see a guy, I don't care how good his stuff is, they are going to get the timing down. They are going to figure him out, especially a player with the postseason pedigree and experience like George Springer, who has played in a million big games and the heart rate doesn't go up in big games and just knows how to calm himself down and make contact in big games. And that's what he does. He's got like 24 career postseason home runs now. It's outrageous the career that guy's wound up having, especially leaving Houston, signing in Toronto, the year now being a postseason winner there. I do feel bad for Seattle though.
Well, my point was, Bizzardo is pitching a lot, not just that they've seen him, just that, the guy's tired by now. Like, what are you doing? And also, this is why they brought him in. He held right-handed batters to a 166, 231, 261 line this season.
Yeah. No, I get it.
That wasn't the mistake. It was the fact, like, why are you even bringing him in Game 6?
They were down.
They were down. Why were you bringing them in? That was like, it was almost like Torrey bringing in all of his prime relievers in the 19-8 game in 2004. Why are you bringing these guys in? Bring in the garbage time guys. Why are you bringing in your prime relievers in a game that you're winning by 9 runs? You see this all the time.
I also thought Kirby, too, came out a little too early, too. They get 4 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 3 Ks, but he was in control of the zone.
Much better performance than his last performance.
Yeah.
Like, kudos to him, too, for that, because you have a performance like he had in his first game in this series, and you could have that in your head coming into their tasking you with a Game 7 start, all or nothing on the line, win or go home, and you could have that bad start in the back of your head, and he came out and did what he needed to do.
In full disclosure, I thought it was appropriate to pull Bieber when Schneider did pull him. He had 3 2/3, but he was getting hit all over the place. 7 hits, 2 earned, 5 strikeouts, but 74 pitches through 3 2/3. I thought it was time to pull him. I thought he didn't have his effective stuff. And let's be real, Stacey, he was 1 ball over the plate from another home run being hit and the game being stretched out a little further. So that one I didn't have a problem with. I just thought Kirby deserved the way that he was pitching. I think Kirby deserved a little more time to buy yourself a little more outs. And these guys are so desperate to get to the bullpen nowadays. It's crazy to me. It really is.
Speaking of the bullpen, now I know that Seattle went down 1-2-3 on 3 strikeouts in the top of the 9th inning, but Hoffman did not have good stuff. No. These guys were just swinging out of their shoes, trying to get something going. Julio Rodriguez did not swing at a strike. Not at all.
Well, that's the point that I want to make too of maybe it's in your head and Julio is a great player.
I'm not taking anything away from him, but in that moment, that shows you the inexperience. Not that everyone's experienced at a Game 7, but for you to strike out on those 3 pitches that you struck out on, when you look at the strike zone map and you see the heat map where the pitches were, that is not a good showing for the final at bat.
And that last pitch, where it was completely out of the zone.
Yeah, that was like a Javi Baez swing.
You can't be swinging at that pitch, Stacey, when Cal Rowley's on deck.
Right.
You have to let your guy get an opportunity, especially one of the better power hitters. He should not have swung at
anything in that at bat, and it's just, again, Game 7. You're down a run. You're the last guy up. The 2 guys in front of you have struck out. The pressure is on you to do something. He hit a big home run already in the game. I understand why the at bat went the way it did, but it can't go that way. Like that's.
And let's talk about this too. Rivas in that last inning. He was good in the ALDS, but in the ALCS, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
No.
And why is he getting an at bat there in the 9th inning?
Did they not have anyone to
the
bring
next
in?
Canzone pinch hit for Robles the next at bat.
Right.
And Robles has more power than Rivas, so why wouldn't you let Robles give him a chance to run into one?
Right.
I don't understand that at all. Like these moves sometimes just don't add up and don't make sense. But just not a good showing for Seattle in that 9th inning. It looked like they were just ready to get out of there at that point.
Yeah.
And gave the game away. It just you got to feel for them. What a great moment for the city of Toronto and for George Springer. That home run was unbelievable. I want to mention one thing before. Vlad walking into the building with a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey on.
People really thought that was going to be a jinx.
Read the room. That's Whether you believe in jinxes or not the right outfit choice.
Yeah, but
what the Maple Leafs have done in the postseason the last decade, not the right choice.
Well, no, like the last 50 years, 55 years.
Well, not winning a cup in the last 55 years, but the last decade of the amount of game sevens they've lost in the last decade, not
leaving a certain round. Yeah, that wasn't a good choice.
Maybe don't do that.
So it was a good series. Either team would have been a good choice to rep the American League in the World Series. But coming up, do the Blue Jays have a snowball's chance in hell against the Dodgers? We'll talk about that next.
But no. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live, the energy, the crowd, and the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets always seems to be the rough part. The queues, the login screens, surprise fees. It can take all the fun out of even going to the game. And that's why I always use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price possible. Plus, all the fees are always included, so the price you see is the price that you're going to pay. The app is made super simple. I even see the exact view of my seat before I buy my tickets. Plus, the fees are included, so you know your total upfront with no surprise fees at the checkout. I love the zone deals feature, too. I pick the section, Gametime picks the seats, and you save big every time. Honestly, faster, cheaper, and it's less stressful than any other way that I've ever bought tickets. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. So, Stacey, Dodgers versus Blue Jays, a matchup as old as time. We will see them face off in the Fall Classic. It'll start in Toronto, by the way, on Friday. Toronto does have the better record, so they'll be playing those games. They'll have the home field advantage in the World Series, which is kind of interesting. Dodgers open in most sports books as a minus 260 favorite in the World Series, so a pretty significant favorite for a championship. I'll ask you flat out. Any chance for Toronto?
Yes. Maybe a minuscule one. I mean, there's always a chance. You never know what's going to happen in a series, but with the way the Dodgers made Milwaukee look absolutely overmatched, and Milwaukee was great this season. And I think they could do the same thing to the Blue Jays because, you know, when you look at everything and like the matchups between the starting pitching, the bullpens, the starting lineup, the Dodgers have the advantage in nearly every part of the game. Not by a lot, right? But I just think the Dodgers have the confidence. They have the guys that weren't healthy last year. They're healthy. Shohei Ohtani is healthy. He wasn't healthy in 2024, and he's healthy now. He's pitching and hitting in the playoffs. And I feel like this might just go 5. I think the Blue Jays win a game, but I think the Dodgers win. Although I've been wrong pretty much all postseason.
I think there's a large potential too for this to get away from the Blue Jays too, where like the moment can just become too big for them at this point. And the Dodgers have been there, done that. Like I don't think they're afraid of going into Toronto.
Right. There's some guys on the Dodgers who are constantly in the playoffs every year and are in a World Series or an ALCS every year or every other
year. The Mariners, like you mentioned, like the Mariners could fold under that pressure of playing in Toronto in the big moment. I mean, like, again, case in point, the Julio Rodriguez at bat at the end of the game, it was a prime example of having been here before, moments too big for him. He's going to swing at 3 pitches that are just nowhere near the strike zone. The Dodgers aren't going to do that.
Right.
Like,
they really aren't.
That.
Yeah.
Last year in the World Series, they played in Yankee Stadium. Like, that's a tough environment to play in. So, like, I don't think they're going to be afraid of that, to be honest with you. Power-wise, the leader for the Dodgers was Shohei Ohtani, 55 home runs this year. Springer had 32. That's the leader for the Blue Jays. Batting average, Bo Bichette, who is likely going to make the roster for the World Series. I don't know what his impact is going to be. I still feel like he's probably very hurt, but it's the World Series. So they're going to see what they can get out of him.
Right.
He hit 311 this year. Freddie Freeman hit 295. Shohei Ohtani had 102 RBIs, led the Dodgers. Bo Bichette had 94. They lead in basically every category. Yamamoto had the best ERA for the Dodgers at 2.49. Gausman, 3.59 was the best for the Blue Jays. Wins, Yamamoto had 12. Bassett had 11. Strikeouts, Yamamoto had 201. Gausman had 189.
Right.
It's just every aspect of this between Yamamoto, not the bullpen as somewhat got fixed by throwing what's his not Nakakuchi, Sasaki in the bullpen. They basically fixed a lot of the bullpen back there. Plus Sheehan they put back there, who had a great year as a starter that they now threw in the bullpen. You get Ohtani coming out of the rotation there. You have Blake Snell, who's got postseason experience. You have Glasnow, who's got postseason experience. Like it's relentless. It's never ending. It's constantly coming at you with ace after ace. And Stacey, these are not guys that have had good seasons this year. These are bona fide number one ace level pitchers that are all coming out of the rotation as starters. Like, all of these guys are $300 million players as starting pitchers that are going to be pitching for the Dodgers in these games. Not legitimately, they're on cheaper contracts because of the time they signed and they went to play for the Dodgers, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Ohtani's the number one ace. He is. Snell is. Glasnow is.
Oh, yeah. If you put any of those guys on another team, they're definitely the ace of the staff. Yeah.
So that's their 4, and they're not going to use 5 in the series.
Right.
So I don't know. Again, we've seen crazier stuff's happened.
Right.
I don't know how you look at this series and think the Dodgers are going to lose this series. You combine that with their lineup. They have more star power than the Blue Jays have at the top of their lineup. Plus, I know the Blue Jays 7 through 9 has been really good, but the Dodgers pedigree in their 7 through 9, guys like Kike Hernandez, who is literally just a postseason player at this point, just is there to hit in the playoffs. There's too much experience on their side. There's too much there. I could be wrong. I don't see how this goes past 5 games.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this. I would prefer the Blue Jays to win only because I would like for the last 2 teams to have repeated in the World Series to be AL East teams, the Yankees and the Blue Jays. I don't want the Dodgers to repeat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because the Blue Jays did repeat. Wow. Okay. That's true. I didn't even think of it that way.
Plus Don Mattingly in the World Series for the first time. Very excited about that.
This also this Blue Jays team doesn't feel like a perennial every year in this spot kind of team. Like if I tell you the Dodgers, if I tell you I rub my crystal ball right now and the Dodgers are in the World Series next year, you're not going to be surprised by that.
No.
You'll be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the Blue Jays, if I told you they're going to be in the World Series next year, you'd be like, wow, they had another great year back to back. Like you wouldn't necessarily totally believe it. So that's another thing here too. I think the Blue Jays, this feels like one of those, oh, you better get it done here. They just gave Vlad the giant contract. It looks like Bichette could be on his way out. They don't have a lot of elite players. They're playing really well at this exact moment, but it's not like this team is full of superstars. So this feels like one of those got to break through right now situations for the Blue Jays, where the Dodgers, they'll likely be back.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't think the Blue Jays have much of a shot.
Right. Yeah. So the World Series doesn't start till Friday. So in the meantime, we'll find things to talk about.
So much time in between the games, though. Jeez.
Yeah, it's. I understand kind of, but yeah, Tuesday. Wow. Yeah. So today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then finally on Friday. They're going to be. You know what it's going to feel like? The games after the All-Star break.
Oh yeah.
That's what this week is going to feel like for everyone. Not just people who put out podcasts, but people who watch baseball. It's going to be the same feeling for all of us. So
good thing it's October. If you feel deprived of sports content, you'll be able to find it every night this month. There's sports on. Stacey, I was flipping through the TVs and the last button like a madman tonight, and it's a Monday.
Right.
Between the football, the baseball, the hockey, everything's on. Yeah. So you're not deprived of sports content. You shouldn't be, at least.
Yeah. No. We will be, but you won't be.
Yeah.
Because we can't really talk about hockey on a Yankees podcast.
It is unfortunate, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. We'll find something to talk about. All right. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. We'll see how that goes. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And Fan Mail Friday reminder, I know it's early in the week, but questions, comments, leave them on YouTube. Again, channel page, post tab, you will see my latest post. And as long as you're nice, we'll read them off on Fan Mail Friday. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.